Oh, I can't hear you all of a sudden.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can.
Awesome. How have you been? It's been 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. It's been kind of a roller coaster over here, I feel like. It's just a lot of like fog and stop and go, stop and go. What about you?
Oh yeah, it must be in the air or something. Because I think we were supposed to meet last week, and I was just like, "Woe is me" on the couch. Like I have no energy for anything. I quit a bunch of things. I just got to the, like we talked about last time, the burnout
Yeah.
point. And it was probably worse than I have ever felt it. I think my mind or maybe my body and my mind just co-conspired, and they were like, enough. Like, you are putting so much into so many things that do not energize you at all. And I just got parked onto the couch, and I was just like, I can't. But coming out of that, which I feel like part of me says I'm still kind of getting out of that funk. But then part of me just says, well, I've just kind of gotten into maybe a little bit of a lay around routine. Because once I kind of like force myself to get moving a little, I'm fine. But maybe a combination of both. But I think coming out of it or looking back on it, just reflecting on it, I'm seeing that, I don't know, there's just so much opportunity to explore what I really want. And even just be okay with not knowing.
Yeah.
And just living and being and momming and sometimes needing rest, and maybe even more rest than other people think I need or think I should need, and just saying, just like being completely comfortable with whatever I actually need, regardless of how that might appear to anyone. I mean, I was just gonna say, I just feel like I'm noticing that a lot of expectations that I've internalized from the outside world have really been running my life for a long time. And I'm starting to feel a little bit free from that. And it's amazing. So I don't have answers in terms of like, what am I going to do? What's my purpose? What's going to be my moneymaker? Like, I almost don't even care about those questions right now, because I'm just hyper focused on, man, I just really got to take better care of myself.
Yeah. So that resonates for me a lot, because I think the whole concept of like letting other people dictate what I should be feeling or how I should have energy to do things, or how I can't be tired right now because I'm just not in a place to have the space to be tired right now. That part resonates with me a lot.
Yeah. And I feel I'm being, even directly criticized by some, as you're stronger than this, like you're meant for more, don't sell yourself out, don't cut yourself short. It's like there's this whole attitude about, if you just take good care of yourself, this whole attitude that you're weak if you're not burning yourself out for some cause or for some achievement. And I just, I think a lot of my life I have not, hold on one second. I think a lot of my life I just, I've always deep inside, I've always felt almost a calling to developing, because I'm not there yet by any means, but developing a really mindful, just a mindfulness around what I do and why. And I've been trying to accomplish things that I want or get things I want in like every other way but that. And I almost run from that. Like, it's too hard to just live mindfully and be present and feel my feelings. And I don't know. I can't do it anymore. Like, I have to come back to me.
Yeah. Man, all of that just resonates with me as well.
I think my first talk with you really almost like sent me here. Like, well, in
Like
a good
in a
way,
good way
though.
or in a bad way?
Well, in a very, you depressed me. No, like the first time we talked, I mean, I think I maybe was already on the edge, right? Of God, what am I doing? This is a lot. Is this for me? All the things I was sort of taking on and trying. I was trying and trying and trying so hard and kind of miserable doing it. And then you were just kind of telling your story about your experience in finance and then the health problems that you had, and then becoming a mom and like some choices, tough choices that you had to make for yourself. And how they really shifted your paradigm mentally and in terms of how you approach things now. And then I invited you to this call that we were having with my, the business I was involved with at the time that was putting a lot of pressure in my life. And I remember like really early on the call, you were just like, yeah, no, this is not for me. Because, you can sense this mentality of just like, I don't know. It's like,
yeah.
But anyway, you were sharing all of that. And I was like, man, like I love like this calm that you have, this energy that you have that's just like, you may not have the answers and you have tons of questions, but you have sort of positioned yourself or made a decision that there is a healthy way, your definition of a healthy way, because I think everyone's healthy way looks different. But your definition of a healthy way is what's going to guide your process. And you seem to have this almost non-negotiable attitude about it. And I just love that about you. And so it sort of triggered me a little bit, just like, dang, because I felt this connection to that energy of yours. And I thought, man, like it almost like called me back to like remind me of what, my initial goals were in terms of who do I want to become or who am I at my core, and just how far I had strayed from that. And man, like that whole like knocked me down and put me on the couch sort of depression that happened. I mean, it was almost just like a reset, like I just kind of like set a grenade off in my mind, and then like had an opportunity from there to sort of rebuild. And it's only been like a week and 2 weeks now, but I feel like a completely different person, more liberated. My relationships have changed. Some have disappeared. And I'm like, it's okay. Like it's like a brand new, fresh start. Not that I've been in this place before, right? But it still feels like now I'm in this place from a more evolved position because I've been through a lot of things. And, anyway, I'm thankful for your presence in my life.
I mean, I think it takes a lot of courage to just connect with that feeling inside where you're just like, no, I'm not going to play this game anymore because this game is not for me. This game has been toxic for me, and I choose to create something better than what you're making me play. At least that's the way I kind of feel about the whole, like, trying to discern what is for me and what isn't for me. And I think, I mean, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about like your release process, because I think too, a lot of the times it can be, at least for me especially, I feel like I'm still kind of stuck in a releasing kind of phase. It's almost like I don't know what it is that I'm trying to release, but there's just so many things that have built up over the years that it's like every week is a new theme of things that I'm like, oh, that was toxic, let's get rid of that too.
Yeah Well, I don't know. I think it's not hard for me to quit things when I get to that boiling point, but I wait until I get there to quit them. I would like to be better at sort of having a little more intuition earlier in my experience, or maybe just listening to it instead of like being bullheaded and just kind of saying like, no, I can do this, but I don't know what the process is. I just know, I guess I'm hot or cold, like I'm either going for it or I'm done with it,
Right.
And, mostly it doesn't matter what the thing is, right? It doesn't matter if it's a business that I'm taking a break from, or a business that I'm just quitting entirely, or even just a relationship that I'm done with. There's so many categories of errors where we put too much in, or we realize it's the wrong path and we try to shift gears or release something. But mentally, emotionally, I think it's almost like giving myself permission, and also not looking at myself as like a quitter, because there's a negative connotation to that. It's more just like, I want to flow, and like,
yes,
if I jump into a river, I'm going to travel past and through all kinds of things, and none of those things are necessarily wrong for me. Like, I've traveled through them, I experienced them, and it makes my life and my mindset and my wisdom and all of that, richer. But I don't have to cling to those things. It's almost like, I wrote a post on Facebook earlier because I was thinking about this. So I use a lot of river metaphors because I had this traumatic sailing accident years ago. I was stuck in a river in the middle of the night for 6 hours, and I was clinging to this little tiny buoy with a couple of my friends. And come to find out, like, really, the friends who didn't have a buoy, they made it all the way to shore and they survived. Whereas those of us who had something small to cling to were stuck, for hours, because rather than swimming our butts off, we're clinging to these little perceived safety objects. And 2 of the people clinging to those objects, succumbed to hypothermia and died. So it's like, now, looking at life, like, I see all of these analogies to that, because it's like, in the river, like, you have to go with the flow, and you just have to let life, like, move you and be willing to move with it. And if you start hearing people on the shoreline shouting at you, telling you that, well, that rock is your salvation, or this rock is achievement, and this rock is success, and that stick is this, like, you may find yourself, like, clinging to things that you think are going to save you, from this river that you don't know where it's taking you. But in reality, they're just causing you, A, to expend a lot of energy clinging, right? And I mean, that's big for me. And then B, it's really just keeping you in the same place. And I don't think we're meant to find this one thing. I mean, if you do and you're happy, that's great. But I don't think we're meant to find this one thing and cling to it and not ever head down the river, And
well,
I think for a lot of, go ahead.
I think too, for me, like, what comes up for me is that sometimes we just have to be okay with making our own path. Like, it's not a one size fits all for everyone. Otherwise, everyone in our millennial generation would be as happy as the baby boomers, because we would have made careers that were making money and happy doing whatever we're doing, or at least happy enough doing what we're doing, because that recipe worked for our parents' generation. That recipe has failed the millennials. Like, any article I've seen about, our current state of what do we need to do to, like, be successful, millennials have followed that recipe for the most part, and we haven't gained the wealth that we were promised. We haven't, it's like there's all these empty promises that were sold to us.
Right.
So I think,
and I found that there's people who are clinging desperately to those promises because I think it's terrifying to not believe in them. Because if you don't, then what the heck is the meaning of life? What the heck am I supposed to be doing? How the heck am I supposed to win? So they are like, this is the way to win, but I'm not there. I don't see it that way. And
I don't think I see it that way anymore either. It's more like I'm trying to really just be okay with going with the flow. Maybe whatever I'm doing, there might be a better way that I'm not aware of, but I'm only going to learn how to be the best version of myself by going through the lessons that I need to learn.
Yeah. I was just thinking of this, like, I've been thinking about this in terms of romantic relationships. I was reading that Burnout book that we talked about last time by the Nagassi sisters, and it was talking about 3 ways that we find sort of higher meaning in life, which can really help us. And one of the 3, I was so relieved because one of the 3 was like connection and relationships. And I've always felt really ashamed about like, my intimate relationship or relationships being one of like primary drivers in my life, because people will act like, oh, I have to be this autonomous woman who doesn't need anyone or anything. That was probably like the early onset of feminism. I don't think it's that way anymore. Like now it's more so, yes, we depend on each other and we know that. But I had this idea that like I had to need no one and nothing. And so I was like weak and codependent because a lot of my life purpose and meaning came out of my romantic relationships, and connections, even close friendships and things like that too. And so, man, reading that book has just made me rethink our constructs, the ones that have been given to us for romance, for career, for happiness. And I think we were sort of handed these models and we're trying so hard to operate within them. And then at some point, if you reach a stage in your life where you're just not happy, not healthy, not fulfilled. Excuse me, children. Thanks. Thank you. So yeah, you reach that point, and I think sometimes you don't have to smash it to smithereens, but I think we can disassemble those constructs that we were given, take what we can use and get rid of the rest. And then just one beam and one nail at a time, sort of reassemble something that fits us better,
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. So then, but we deal with a lot of like fear and uncertainty while we're disassembling, like, and I'm like looking back on like relationships that I've been in, for example, that ultimately failed because I was trying to make them fit into this model of what I thought they were supposed to be, and they didn't. And I'm like, man, if I had just rebuilt a new model, like that would have been fine. So just being more flexible, on like what I think is good and bad and right and wrong, and like sensing into myself and honoring my actual gut and my actual feelings. Man, I'm like, I'm excited, like it's not like I'm good at it yet, but I'm kind of excited because I'm like, man, what could life look like? I've felt the dregs of life, living according to others' expectations and demands so often, and even other people's definitions of success and happiness, because I'm just like, I don't really need to be a millionaire. I mean, if I have some great idea and I add some amazing value to the world and I end up a millionaire, that's cool, but like, I don't really have that idea right now that I know of. And it's like, I don't feel like a failure because of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. Like, I really just want to, like, I think about what I want. I'm like, I just want to be a good mom, and I want to spend time doing things I enjoy and still be able to feed my family and not stress too much. Like, I don't need much more than that. I want to be in love, like I want some romance and connection in my life. I want a handful of really great friends that I touch me, where we have these connections and we support each other, like you, and that makes me really happy, those things, and I don't care about the money,
Right.
Some people act
I agree.
like you have so much to offer the world and you have so many skills, and it's like, I do not owe the world myself. Like, I don't owe the world my gifts. I don't owe my service to the world. I don't have to I don't have to put myself up on the cross and martyr myself for the sake of the world. Like, yes, I have gifts. Yes, I have value, and I get to choose who and how I deliver that value as I see fit. You know what I mean? And I'm not like some sellout or selling the world short or selling myself short just because I don't want to burn out, becoming the best life coach in the universe or whatever. Like, So
No,
yeah.
but that's so, I mean, I think that that's so powerful, right? Because it's really like you're at a point where you're ready to create your world and you have some more clarity around what your gifts are and how you want to use them rather than using them because someone else is telling you that they value them. Like it's a shift
Yeah.
of you starting to value your gifts, right?
Yeah.
And I think even just like in the whole concept of like relationships, like everything that you said about relationships, like that resonates with me so much. But it's kind of like that idea of discernment, right? So like how do you know what is right for you without connecting to your deeper intuition? Um I mean, I guess even like for me being married, like my relationship doesn't look anything like I thought my relationship would look like. But I feel like we've started to like really nurture a healthier relationship. And it looks completely different than I thought it would, if that makes any sense. So like I don't know. But it's hard because our thoughts, especially like my own thoughts, like can be can muddy the waters, can be distracting, can like really be very critical of certain aspects and start to like chip away at something that I feel is like overall good. And I think like that pattern I happen to have in other relationships in the past and friendships too, because I think there is an element of when we become disappointed by those that we feel like we can trust, then we're not so good at like healing that part of ourselves that became hurt by someone else. And then we start to like be guarded that everyone else is going to hurt us that same way, right? I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Or we assign the same meaning to a similar action, like, oh, this person did this, because they didn't respect me or whatever. And so now when another person does a similar action, it's automatic like, oh, here we go again. And it's like, hold on, context, different person, different scenario.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, can you get to a point where you can communicate and be open and willing to listen to what the person has to say, even if it could be in that moment hurtful, but like help you repair something over the long run?
Right. And then throw another wrench in there. We're not all experts at communicating yet.
Right.
So both of you could have the greatest of intentions and not quite have figured out how to behave, not quite have healed from all of your past hurts, and not really know how to talk about it, and like, our past trauma affects whether we talk about it or hole up inside ourselves. And like, two individuals who, if they work through these processes and eventually get good at understanding each other, could be a great couple. But can you get through all of that mess? And will you even know if it's worth it? Because it's hard,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's tough, I think. When you have a great relationship with someone else, romantic or otherwise, I feel like it's just to be cherished. Because getting to that point, if it's easy, we're really lucky, because it could be really hard.
Well, and I think part of the reason why I really like your idea of sitting with other women and getting other women together in this like friendship or camaraderie, because I think too, like the more we are real and take down our walls with each other, the more we can help build each other up. We can talk about some of these things. We can actually see what it's like to be vulnerable with other people and learn how to be vulnerable with our partners in a way that doesn't feel so scary. Or it's almost like the more women start to open up and talk about these things, the more courage we're giving all of our female counterparts who are willing to listen to the message, like that ability to start to become more vulnerable in their relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that's, if you have the courage to be authentic in this world, you are it's so, you're empowering other people mightily, because there are so many other people who, they may not need to say it out loud to be authentic to the rest of the world about it, but at least they know that there's nothing wrong with them. You know, that their experience is not, they're not the only one feeling what they feel and having that experience. And, you know, that's one way where I am willing to go out there and take criticism or judgment, because it's like, you know, I'll tell you that, you know, I'm this and I'm that and I do this and here's this problem that I have and here's what I suffer from, because I really don't care if anybody else doesn't like me for it. For the most part, I still have my occasional like, oh, do I really want to say that? But I try, you know, to put out things that I don't necessarily think other people will, particularly if I have a safe space to do it, like that Facebook group, woman stuff, because then, you know, there's maybe 50 other people in the room who are like, oh, like, I can't believe she said that, but me too, but I'm not gonna put myself out there, but at least I know I'm not alone, you know?
Yeah. Then I think it's just a slow process. It's, you know, one that we have inherited from those who came before us, and it's one that will continue to percolate, and maybe one day it takes a hold. But like, I don't know, it's like that saying, your mess is your message, but your message is also your mess. I feel like that's the part that I keep trying to embrace, because it's like, I still cling to that whole idea of like, well, I want to be through the other side. Like, I want to know what it all looks like looking back, and to be able to connect all the dots. So it's just like this pretty package that I can like share with people.
Yeah.
but I don't know that that's everybody's way of doing things. And it's just one way that has worked up until now, right? And so
yeah,
I think for me personally, I want to try to take all that pressure off of myself, to feel like I have to be perfect, to feel like I have to have it all figured out, to feel like I can just show up and be who I am and just do that every day, because there are people out there who probably need someone to talk to or to listen to, or just to know that someone else feels the same way that they do, or that they're going through the same type of thing that they are.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, like, where or how do we create this standard of perfection? Like, what does that even look like? You know, like, because, I mean, like, I don't think we ever actually do not have a mess of some kind. Like, if you fix one mess, you create another, because our hearts and our minds are never done growing. So, I think the whole idea of like perfection is really, it boils down to like, am I good enough to, you know, deliver value or to offer value, even to help people, to call myself madam whatever, you know, like, and like, who are we comparing ourselves to like, what standard are we comparing ourselves to reach, to be good enough, you know? And I mean, if you think about it, like, I mean, you saying that, it's just mind blowing, because it's like, we hung out like one time and you just like spiraled my whole life and back to where it like needed to be. Like, you were such this great catalyst for me, through, you know, just innocent, accidental conversation and good listening and asking powerful questions. And it's like, oh, like, how can you not know? You know, like, I don't care what other messes you have in your life, like, you've changed mine, you know? And I think if we remember that that's what we're capable of for so many people, then we can stop, you know. And then I think I said this to you one time in a message. If it wasn't you, I said it recently, but someone was kind of telling me about all these like questions and things, and I was like, why is it all about you? It's like, you know, like, we get so caught up in like all of these things about ourselves that aren't good enough, or that we have to fix, or this or that. And it's just like, there's like a whole handful or even hundreds of people that would benefit from just a conversation, you know? And I mean, think about all the conversations that we've had in our lives, like with each other, with, you know, our mentors, even just our friends, our family members. Like, how many conversations have we had in our lives that, even if by 1 degree, shifted our direction into like closer to where we would be in more alignment with, who we want to become. I mean, they're powerful.
Yeah, and I guess I just wanted to say this because this came to mind, but I think, within those interactions, we're either taking on someone else's expectation or we're leaving through that interaction feeling nourished. And if we can help people feel more nourished every time they have a interaction, or they try to be vulnerable, or they just talk about some other challenges, or just whatever is on their mind, right? So I think for me, it's like that was a huge paradigm shift for me, because I think there's a lot of, but I want to say my piece, and I want people to listen to me, and I want people to ask me about me. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm taking care of me, I don't need that anymore. I can then help take care of other people. So,
or at least you don't need it all the time.
right. I mean, it's a really hard, but I think it comes from like feeling deficient, right? Like we start to focus on me, because there's a part of us that knows no one else is going to take care of me. Like if I don't start taking care of me, this is going to go really bad. Yeah. But then we're still looking to the outside world to help us take care of ourselves. So it's just like that little shift inside where you give yourself permission to take care of what you need. And that helps to fill up your cup so that you can help other people and listen to other people.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you're saying that, I had this like little moment of like, I don't know, do you ever feel this way? Like sometimes I'm just like, I don't really give a crap about helping other people. I just want to like live my life. Like, do you ever, and maybe that's because I'm still in like burnout mode. And it's not like someone comes up to me, like someone I'm in a relationship with, or even someone that's my neighbor, an acquaintance. If they come up to me and they're like, hey, can you give me some advice about something? Or, hey, can you help me with this? Like, I'm happy to help, and in no way am I like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Like, I'm happy to help. But for some reason, when we talk about like helping in terms of like coordinating some intentional impact, I'm just like, oh, just like,
I feel tired. That. I feel that. And I think, again, it just sort of comes from like, are you doing everything that you need to do to feel nourished?
Yeah.
And it's okay that you don't. I mean, it's okay to have those periods of time where you do need to be more focused on yourself, or you need other people to help you focus on yourselves. I think that's what the relationship is at the end of the day, especially among other women. Like, we're here to help each other through all of the stuff that we got to get through.
Yeah. Like, so if I'm feeling that like, oh, I can't even be bothered right now with other people, like, then, us in a relationship, like you would say like, well, what's going on in your life? And are you taking good care of you? And what's missing? Because your cup must not be full. And then I would say like, oh, well, I'm not really getting enough sleep, and I probably need to eat more veggies, and I didn't go to the gym this morning. And like, you were like, okay, well, do you want to do more of that? And like, yes, I do. And inevitably I would become re-energized by these things that help nurture and make me full, and then maybe I would have more to give,
I mean, that's my hypothesis.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what I'm feeling right now, even in saying that, is I actually think I might have years and years of emptying without filling. Like, it's a backlog of, like, I've been starving myself to death for years and years. And I just don't know how long it's going to take for me to be okay. You know what I mean?
I think it's okay however long it takes. It is what it is. But I think women especially have been burdened with this emotional work. Like, we have to take on all the emotional work in our households, for the people that we touch, for the men in our lives, whether they're just coworkers or colleagues or whatever. They come to us to help them sort out their emotions a lot. At least that's what I find. Like, And I don't fault them for that. I think that's a healthy way for them to start gaining some awareness and some mindfulness around how to organize their emotions. But it's it's a lot of work. And I think another thing too is like when someone is struggling but they're not willing to open up, that almost like impedes the process too, because well, there it's fine that you're not in a place to open up, but at some point, like, please do open up, because you got to get that healing in, right? So, and I actually am starting to believe that we need each other to move through our healing. We cannot just heal everything on our own.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that for sure. So what does self-care look like for you?
Self-care, oh man, it is being really in tune with what I need in my day so that I can mostly guide it to be positive. And what I mean by positive is like where I'm not being depleted, I'm not grouchy, I'm not like flipping a switch and like raging on someone who accidentally came across my path.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's as silly as today, for example, like I woke up and I was just dragging. My son still nurses. He spent all night last night wanting to nurse, and it was just like I woke up and I was like, whoa, I need something. I don't know what it is I need today, but I am not ready for this day. And so I think the short answer is, for me, self-care often looks like me asking my husband for some help, and him actually having the understanding that like I wouldn't be asking for the help if I didn't need it. And that took a long time to get in harmony, because he used to be like, why do you need that? Like, I already did all this stuff for you, and why are you being so lazy? Like there was definitely like that type of mindset with him. But it was just like over time, just trying to get like more refined with like, this is why I can't do this. Like, I am not the same as you. I am not wired the same way as you are. You are really good at these things. I'm really good at these things. And like trying to reinforce all the differences, because I think at the end of the day, it's like we all have certain things that come really easy to us, and that's our zone of genius, whether we realize it or not. But when you don't really have a very good insight into what your zone of genius is, then you kind of like, for me anyway, that's where I started to be kind of like bullying myself. Like, oh, why can't you get these simple chores done? Like my husband Wade, he can just go through and do all the things, and it takes it, like he does it on autopilot. And when he told me he did it on autopilot, I was like, what? I don't even compute. Like none of that stuff is autopilot to me. Like I have to think really hard to get through all that stuff. So I think it is just like the long answer, I guess, is self-care is really just connecting with what you need, being able to ask for what you need, and just being able to create a space where someone else can help you out, and just you can help them out in the way that you help them out. And it's like a mutual thing, right? Like it's not always about being selfish, but you need the things you need in order to show up to the world and get through your day.
Yeah. One of the things I loved about what you said was that you had to ask for help. But then also sometimes you ask for help and someone you're asking for help might not realize why you need it. And so you almost have to have some level of self-awareness to actually do the work to figure out why you need it. You know what I mean? So it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
And you also said something about what's your expertise, your area of, your area of expertise. I don't feel like I know what mine is, and so do you have a handle on like what you think your kind of things are that you're good at?
I think I'm good at reading other people's emotions, and I think I'm really good at helping them work through their emotions. I think I'm good at helping people sort of like re-energize too after they interact with me. None of that really translates to being really a good mom or a good housekeeper. So being in this early phase of childhood, rearing like a 2-year-old has been really hard, quite frankly. And if it wasn't for my husband, it would be a sinking ship over here. So like my husband, for example, he's really do you know anything about like MBTI, or like do you use any like personality?
I mean, I've toyed with all of them over the years, but I haven't like memorized any of them, like, so I know people who are like, oh, I'm an INFJ, and I'm just like, okay, I don't remember what I am. I've done it multiple times, but I just don't retain that stuff.
So I guess like it's an easier way to put language on it sometimes, because I feel like sometimes I'm talking about things that outside of that framework, I'm not really sure how to speak about it. But so like, for example, my genius, so like to me, I think what I do is I make like all these different like connections. So like my brain can see like the whole system, and it can be like, all right, do that and that and that, and that's like going to be the easiest, fastest way to get something done. But in order for that to work, I need to have built up all my experience to know what the different ways of doing things are, and that's oftentimes like where I start to get fatigued. So like my husband, on the other hand, he's more just like, he can just see something and just do it, and he's more like focused on the outcome. So as long as he gets it done, he doesn't really care how hard it was to get done. He's just happy that it got done. So he'll just like spin his wheels doing the same thing over and over again, because he's getting things done. He's feeling good about getting things done. And I'm over here like, I can't do that the same way you do it. Like for me,
there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah. So I think like now that we've been able to sort of see how we're different, but how we contribute to the greater picture, and how he's more allowing of me saying, oh, hey, what if we put this system in place, and then that makes your job easier, or like that makes it so that we can both kind of like pick up where the other person left off if one of these systems goes like undone or whatever for a while.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. And I think when you're someone more like me, where it's like you just kind of have to make connections based off your experience, and that's what helps you get through your day, like I don't really know what that is, because it's not necessarily something you can package up really easily, I guess. Like, I don't know. Whereas like I see my husband's skill being highly valued. Like everyone loves someone who gets things done.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care how hard it was.
I feel like you're a systems engineer in a lot of ways.
People though, not of systems.
Yeah. So like a personal systems engineer,
Yeah. So I think too, like with my son, a lot of the times, like,
hang on one second, Lo, hold on. Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. One of the things like too with my son is just that I'm kind of good at like just guiding him and letting him explore and letting him learn whatever it is that he's interested in learning. So I feel like the energy I bring into my household is just more of like a hands off. I'm kind of keeping tabs on everything that's going on, and I'm only going to interject if I know like there's going to be like a collision of some sorts that's going to knock everyone offline.
It's important.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way I think I've started to envision what it is that I do.
Yeah.
Does that
Sort of
resonate at all for you?
Yeah, I think so. Sort of a coordinator of almost like a supervisor too. It's like you're keeping tabs on everything. You have this high level awareness of everything that's going on. It reminds me of like just executive leaders in general. Like you have experience in all the different areas, so you understand how they work, and that helps you figure out how to be able to make those areas run together and work together smoothly. Yeah, that makes sense. I still have no idea if that relates to me or pertains to me, because I'm honestly just like, I don't know what I'm good at, but yeah, but that's okay.
You're good at so many things though, at least from what I've seen. I think maybe you're struggling a little bit with trying to tie everything together, which I don't know that you have to tie everything together.
Yeah. I don't know. Seems like every person I'm around like has different ideas of what they think I should do, and it's like, yeah, I could do that. Like I could. But do I want to? I don't know. So yeah, that's okay.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, don't sell yourself short, because you are very good at a lot of things. I haven't known you very long, but I can see you have a lot of talent. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just a little bit more listening to what you like and what you don't like, and just following that thread. I mean, for me, like, I had a lot more freedom once I was like, okay, I don't have to finish a book. Like, it's okay if I start another book while I'm still reading this book. And it's okay if I'm working on like 10 different books at the same time. It's whatever. Yeah. Like, just go with the flow. Like, take that to its limit and test it out and see if you feel happy or not. And if that kind of helps you zero in on what it is you think you like or want to spend your time doing. I mean, I think you know what you want to do, which is that whole connection relationship thing, but what's holding you back, or what is there?
I want to do it like just in my life informally, every time I start to sort of try to create something that's more formal, or then I just get this nasty taste in my mouth, like, oh, I don't know what it is. I mean, but there's other things and interests, like, my whole zookeeping and animal keeping and veterinary type job dreams. And, I mean, there's just so many things that I'm like, I'm almost to the point where I'm like, life is just awesome opportunity for so many rich experiences, but I'm just going to do them all. Like, I don't have to have one. I'm just going to keep doing whatever strikes me, But I'm trying to not let myself really like get worried about it anymore. Like, it just doesn't really matter, I just want to be happy. Like, and I'm learning that happiness is not like picking a thing. And my moods, my desires, my passions, they can be transient. Sometimes they come and go. And I think I've inherited this belief that that's like wrong or bad. And I'm trying to say like, no, actually, that's me, and I'm not wrong or bad. Like, so it'll be interesting to see how things evolve as I continue to accept me and give myself the same love and grace that I would, a 4-year-old trying to figure out what she wants, anyone else. So, but I do have an overwhelming sense that everything's going to be fine. So, that feels really nice. Like, I'm not really concerned. And that's a lot of privilege, really, right? Like, I have family that supports me, and if I fall flat on my face, I have people who love me, who will help me survive.
So awesome. It's really one of the things I've learned to lean into is to trust my network, because they will catch me if I fall.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, cool. Anything else we want to touch on today?
I mean, it was great to connect with you today. I feel like, we're in very similar places, just trying to figure things out and bounce ideas off of each other. And I think I'm looking forward to continuing to explore how this goes. I had thought about, like, it might be interesting to try to get other women on a call with us to just kind of see how that interplay might work with other people. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think whatever we're trying to do is valuable and worth putting out into the world. And it's okay that we don't know what we're trying to do exactly, but it's like having the courage to play around with it is kind of where I'm at.
I agree. And we got some listens. On YouTube and the podcast. So that was kind of exciting. I'd refresh it every day or so and see where we were. I'm gonna refresh right now and see. So last time I posted to my podcast from ages ago, I just added a new episode, and we got 18 plays.
Nice.
Yeah. Sit with women.
I mean, I think too, like, these types of things take time, especially because we're not hitting the ground running with like a fully fleshed out concept. We just have a sense that we kind of want to do this thing. And I think there's a freedom in like being so open about the trial and error process. But that's a freedom I feel only comfortable doing with someone else. It's definitely not a freedom I feel doing on my own.
I feel you. And I'd say at the end of the day, like, we are having a good time ourselves. 56 YouTube views.
Wow.
So that's a little better.
So
we'll post this, and maybe eventually we'll, decide on a topic area and try to narrow down our conversation. Right now, I feel like we're kind of just doing like authentic check-ins with each other, which that's fine too, saying where we are and how that's going and being able to pour into each other. That way we could keep with that format and invite others to the table. Maybe we'll think about who might want to hang out with us next week. And see how it goes. But I'm loving it. So
I like it too. I mean, and even if at the end of the day it really is only ultimately for us, I think it is a little bit of us exploring ourselves, which is valuable for both of us.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess that's a wrap.
Hit the subscribe button.
Yes, click like, ring that notification bell, click subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, we'll get that all down at some point maybe. Yeah, but sure. I'm gonna hit stop.